Okay, let's talk about a word that makes a lot of people, well, a little uncomfortable. Sales. We're going to spend the next few minutes completely flipping that idea on its head, moving away from those pushy, old-school tactics and into a modern framework that actually works and feels good. So when I say that word, sales, what's the first image that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's something kind of aggressive, right? Uncomfortable, maybe a slick guy in a suit playing a numbers game. But what if that whole picture is just wrong?
All right, let's just bust the biggest myth right out of the gate. This whole idea of the natural-born salesperson, it's a total myth. Seriously, nobody is born knowing how to ask perfect questions or having flawless tonality. It's just not about having the gift of the gab.
And that leads us to the most important idea here. Selling isn't some magical art you're either born with or not. It is a skill. And just like any other skill, like learning to code or play an instrument, it can be learned, it can be practiced, and you can get really, really good at it. So you might be asking, okay, great, but how do we learn it? Well, we can break it all down into a super simple but incredibly powerful framework. It's built on just two key pillars. And once you understand these two, you're going to start looking at sales in a completely new way. So what are these pillars? They are process and psychology. Think of it like this. The process is the what. It's your structured step-by-step system you follow every single time. The psychology, that's the how. That's all the human stuff, the communication skills you use to guide a real conversation. And here's the thing, you need both. One without the other just falls flat. Let's start with that first pillar, the process. This is all about getting organized. It's about building a reliable system so that no opportunities, no potential clients ever fall through the cracks. This is how you bring a little bit of order to the chaos of all those incoming leads. You know, every great sales process really hinges on one single critical moment. We call it the transition point. This is the exact instant a casual question or a social media DM becomes an official tracked lead inside your system. So here's how that looks in the real world. An inquiry comes in. Maybe it's an email, a DM, a phone call, whatever. Instead of trying to juggle 10 different conversations in 10 different places, you do one simple thing. You politely direct every single one to a central inquiry form. Once they fill that out, bam, they're an official lead in your system. So simple, but so powerful. And once they're in your system, they start moving along a very clear one-way street. This is your sales pipeline. They move from inquiry to accepted, to a booked call, to an offer, and finally to closed. Notice there's no moving backward. This structure is what gives you total control and clarity. You always know exactly where everyone is. So, with a solid process in place, we can move on to the second pillar. We've organized the what, and now it's time to focus on the how, the psychology of the conversation itself. This idea right here, it reframes everything. At its absolute core, all selling is about one thing: change. And let's be honest, people are naturally resistant to change because it feels uncertain, it feels risky. So your job isn't really to sell a product, it's to show a prospect that making a change with you is far less risky than doing nothing at all. And this leads to a huge shift in your role. You stop being a product pusher, the person who just talks about features and is obsessed with the numbers game. Instead, you become a problem finder. You're playing a skills game now. You're asking smart, thoughtful questions to help the client truly understand the depth of their own problem and the consequences of not fixing it. In these conversations, how you say something matters just as much, if not more, than what you say. And this quote just nails it. Your tonality, whether you sound curious or concerned or even a little bit playful, that's what communicates the true intention behind your questions. It's what gets a person to lower their guard and actually trust you. So when you put it all together, you combine that rock-solid process with a modern, human-centered psychology. What you get is a completely new playbook for sales, one that you can actually feel good about using. So here are the key takeaways you can start using today. First, centralize every single lead with a transition point. Get them all in one place. Second, shift your mindset from being a product pusher to a problem finder. Third, master your communication and your tonality. And finally, always remember that your real job is to guide people through change. I want to leave you with one final thought, just to really let this sink in. What if your job isn't to sell at all? What if it's simply to become an expert guide who helps people make the best possible decision for themselves? When you adopt that mindset, everything changes.